I know what it feels like to wake up scared, to open your eyes and feel that quiet worry deep in your chest. But this story isn't about fear. It's about hope, and how small choices made each morning can change everything. Every morning begins with choices. Some so small they almost go unnoticed. A rushed coffee, a skipped breakfast, a few extra minutes under the hot shower. Yet those little decisions can whisper to your body in ways you don't imagine. Today, as the world wakes up, millions of women open their eyes believing they're simply starting another ordinary day. But for some, the day hides an invisible danger that begins right in the mirror, with habits repeated so often they feel harmless. This is not about fear. It's about awareness, about understanding how daily routines can silently shape the future of your health. We've learned that breast cancer rarely begins overnight. It grows quietly, influenced by years of tiny patterns that stack upon each other. Patterns of stress, hormones, sleep, diet, and exposure. Scientists call them modifiable risks. I call them warning lights on the dashboard of your life. The body always whispers before it screams, but we've grown so used to the noise of hurry that we stop hearing it. Let's slow down for a moment and listen to what those whispers are trying to say. The first morning habit that many women underestimate is skipping breakfast. The body has just spent hours repairing itself through the night. It needs fuel to balance hormones, especially estrogen. When you rush out the door with only coffee in your stomach, insulin spikes, cortisol rises, and estrogen can linger longer than it should. Over months and years, that imbalance may increase inflammation and cellular stress, two quiet allies of cancer growth. It's not about eating much, it's about eating right. A bowl of oatmeal with berries or a slice of whole grain toast with avocado can sound simple, but inside your body, it's a signal of safety. I'm cared for, I'm balanced. The second habit hides behind the sweetness of your morning cup. Too much sugar, that extra spoon in your coffee, that flavored creamer, that quick pastry, they all fuel a cycle of insulin resistance. Cancer cells, especially breast cancer cells, thrive on sugar like dry wood feeding fire. Many women tell themselves, I deserve this little treat to start my day, and you do, but your body deserves something kinder. Replacing that sugar with cinnamon or with a touch of honey is not deprivation, it's an act of love, because love is not only spoken in words, it's also in the quiet decisions we make when no one is watching. Then comes the third habit, reaching for plastic. From water bottles to reheating leftovers in plastic containers, we surround ourselves with invisible chemicals called endocrine disruptors, compounds that mimic estrogen and may interfere with the body's natural rhythm. Every morning, as you drink from that soft plastic bottle left overnight in the car, tiny particles dissolve into your water. They're invisible, tasteless, but powerful enough to confuse your hormonal system. Choose glass, choose steel, choose awareness, because awareness is the first step toward prevention. The fourth habit seems innocent, almost elegant. Skipping sunscreen. Many women protect their faces but forget their chest, shoulders, and arms, areas that quietly absorb years of sunlight. UV radiation doesn't only age the skin, it creates oxidative stress that can damage underlying tissues. We often imagine breast cancer as something deep inside, far from the reach of light, but science shows that oxidative stress from sunlight and pollution can indirectly influence breast tissue health through systemic inflammation. Protecting your skin each morning is not vanity, it's wisdom. And the fifth habit, perhaps the most underestimated of all, is starting the day in chaos. Waking to the sound of a blaring alarm, checking messages before breathing, running from one task to the next without a single pause. Chronic stress floods the body with cortisol, suppressing immune function and altering how estrogen is processed in the liver. Over time, this silent tension becomes fertile ground for disease. But the good news is that peace can be practiced. A 2-minute ritual, deep breathing, prayer, or gratitude can lower stress hormones and literally change the chemistry of your blood. Imagine that. 2 minutes that could save your life. Behind these habits, there's something deeper. The story of how women learn to put everyone else first. We nurture children, partners, parents, careers, and forget the body that carries us through it all. Many women discover breast cancer not in a moment of fear, but in a moment of exhaustion, when their bodies finally say, enough. The truth is not cruel, it's compassionate. It says, you matter too. Every morning is another chance to begin differently. If you've ever faced that cold room, the sterile smell, the doctor's quiet voice saying the word tumor, you know that time slows down. You remember every sound, every heartbeat, every prayer that followed. And if you haven't, let awareness be your protection, not your fear. Because prevention is the softest form of healing. It spares you the pain before it arrives. So tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, remember this. The way you start your day is a conversation with your future. Skip chaos, not breakfast. Sweeten your life, not your coffee. Drink purity, not plastic. Protect your skin, protect your peace. These aren't rules. They're promises you make to yourself. And one day, when you're older, healthier, and standing before the mirror with gratitude instead of regret, you'll know that every small choice added up to something extraordinary. Life. Science will keep searching for cures, but wisdom begins in the quiet of your own morning. Don't let the world rush you into sickness. Slow down, breathe, eat with love, live aware. You are not powerless against cancer. You are powerful beyond measure when you choose awareness over routine. And if you are already walking through treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, know this. Your body is not your enemy. It is your ally fighting beside you. Feed it hope, not fear. Surround it with kindness. Speak to it as you would to someone you love deeply. Healing begins in the heart long before it reaches the blood. Each sunrise is a reminder that your story is not finished. Maybe you can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you greet the morning. And sometimes that's enough to change the ending. There comes a morning when the mirror doesn't just reflect your face, it reflects your choices. Maybe you've lived for years believing that illness is a matter of bad luck or genetics. But something inside you whispers that it's more than that your body has been speaking softly all along. And today, you finally decided to listen. You pour water into a glass, not plastic this time, and watch it catch the light. You remember the first time you heard about breast cancer. It was someone else's story then. A coworker, a cousin, a neighbor. You prayed for her, maybe sent a message, then went back to your life. But now, the word feels closer. You realize that awareness is not about fear, it's about love. Love for the life you still have, for the mornings that still rise for you. The truth is that change doesn't start in a hospital. It starts in the kitchen, in the bathroom mirror, in the quiet promise you make to yourself to do better. Not perfectly, just better. Because perfection never saved anyone, but consistency has saved millions. Every day is a chance to rewire your body's story. The food you eat becomes the material for your cells. The thoughts you think become the language of your hormones. It's not magic. It's biology guided by intention. Scientists say our bodies renew billions of cells daily. That means tomorrow's version of you is already being built by what you do today. And that's powerful. Let's start with something simple. Your morning plate. Add color, because nature paints healing in shades of green, red, orange, and blue. Blueberries, rich in antioxidants, protect cells from damage. Spinach and kale support the liver, helping your body clear excess estrogen safely. Almonds and walnuts add healthy fats that balance hormones. When you choose these, you're not just eating, you're sending a message of defense and renewal. And yes, let's talk about what you remove. Fried foods, processed meats, and sugary cereals may seem small, but they whisper chaos into your cells. You don't have to quit everything overnight. You just have to shift, little by little, toward what loves you back. Because food is not just fuel, it's communication. Then there's movement, not punishment, not exhaustion. Movement as a celebration of being alive. Studies show that 30 minutes of walking a day can lower your breast cancer risk significantly. But beyond science, movement tells your body, I'm still here. I'm still choosing life. Imagine taking that morning walk not as an obligation, but as a prayer in motion, each step saying, "Thank you for another sunrise." And then there's rest, the forgotten medicine. Too many women wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, believing that strength means never stopping. But your body heals while you sleep. Melatonin, the hormone your body releases in darkness, doesn't just help you rest. It protects your cells, regulates estrogen, and reduces oxidative stress. Every night you stay up scrolling through your phone, you're not just losing sleep, you're robbing your body of one of its most sacred healers. Turn off the noise. Protect your night like your life depends on it, because it does. Let's talk about the weight no doctor measures: emotional stress. The heartbreaks you never healed from, the guilt you keep carrying, the anger you never spoke. All of it stays inside the body until it finds a way to be heard. Many women discover lumps after seasons of deep grief or resentment. This doesn't mean emotions cause cancer, but unhealed pain weakens the walls of your defenses. Forgiveness is not about letting others go. It's about letting your body rest. You forgive so your immune system can breathe again. Maybe you've been through it already. The treatments, the hair loss, the fear of recurrence. And maybe you wake up every morning wondering if the nightmare will ever come back. Listen closely. Healing is not just physical, it's spiritual. When the body breaks, the soul begins to speak louder. The pain that once terrified you becomes the same voice that teaches you gratitude. You survived not to live in fear, but to live with wisdom. Look around your morning space, your room, your kitchen, your mirror, and fill it with things that make you remember why you fight. A photo of someone you love, a note that says you're still here, a flower, a candle, a prayer. These are not decorations. They are medicine for the heart. And if you're watching this and thinking, "It's too late for me," I want you to know it's never too late. Not to heal, not to change, not to hope. Because healing doesn't always mean curing. Sometimes it means transforming. Even when cells betray you, your spirit can become stronger than ever. And that strength alone can turn a story of sickness into one of victory. One of the most powerful things a woman can do is listen to her intuition. That quiet voice that says, "Something's off." The lump that felt different. The tiredness that felt unusual. That feeling you brushed aside because life was too busy. That voice is your body's language of survival. It's never wrong. Don't wait for permission to check, to ask, to test. Early detection doesn't just save lives, it saves futures, memories, birthdays, and embraces. And if you're supporting someone you love through cancer, know that your presence is part of their medicine. You don't need the right words. You just need to stay. Silence, a hand held, a shared laugh. They're all forms of healing too. Morning after morning, life invites you to choose differently. Not because you're broken, but because you're precious. The moment you stop treating health like an emergency and start treating it like devotion, everything changes. You begin to move differently, eat differently, think differently. You stop punishing your body for being tired and start thanking it for carrying you through. Every act of care, every healthy breakfast, every glass of water, every deep breath becomes a declaration. I'm choosing life today. And when fear comes, because it will, you remind yourself. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving through it anyway. Tomorrow morning, when the sun rises and your alarm rings, don't just wake up. Awaken. Let that word sink into you. Awaken to gratitude. Awaken to your body. Awaken to your chance to protect yourself. There's a woman out there right now, maybe watching this same video, who believes she can't change her story. Maybe she's older. Maybe she's tired. But when she hears your story, your courage to begin again, she'll believe it's possible for her too. That's how awareness spreads. Not through fear, but through hope. So keep going. Keep choosing. Keep loving your mornings like they are sacred, because they are. Every sip, every step, every prayer, every pause, they matter, because life is not waiting to test you. It's waiting to bless you. And when you meet the day with love, your body listens. and begins to heal in ways science still can't explain. There comes a day when the storm ends, not because the rain stops, but because you finally learn to dance in it. That's the day your healing begins. You wake up, and for the first time in a long while, the first thing you feel is not fear, it's gratitude. Gratitude that your heart is still beating, that your lungs are still drawing breath, that your reflection, though changed, still carries the same light that once seemed lost. The mirror doesn't show scars, it shows survival, and survival is beautiful. You walk to the window, open the curtains, and let the sunlight touch your face. This light feels different now. It's not just morning, it's mercy. Every ray reminds you that you're still here for a reason. You survived so you could teach others that it's possible, that there is life after fear, beauty after pain, and peace after chaos. Cancer may have touched your body, but it didn't touch your soul. It didn't take your kindness, your laughter, or your purpose. You may have lost your hair, but you didn't lose your courage. You may have lost your strength for a while, but you never lost your will to rise again. And that, more than anything, is what defines you. Some mornings, you'll still feel fragile, and that's okay. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a dance between surrender and strength. But you'll also notice moments of quiet joy, the taste of coffee after weeks of nausea, the sound of rain you used to ignore, the hug that lasts longer. Because now you understand how precious time really is. Those small moments are miracles in disguise. You start to realize that healing is not about becoming who you were before. It's about becoming someone wiser, softer, stronger. The woman you were before didn't know how strong she could be. The woman you are now knows that love is the most powerful medicine on earth. So you begin to change the world, not with speeches, not with noise, but with the way you live. You choose kindness over bitterness, rest over guilt, compassion over criticism. You begin to notice other women, the tired cashier, the young mother, the woman sitting alone at the bus stop, and you see yourself in them. You smile, because you know that behind every quiet face there's a silent battle being fought. You stop waiting for perfect moments and start creating them. You forgive those who didn't understand your pain, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You stop hiding your scars and start wearing them as proof that pain can be survived and turned into wisdom. And one day, maybe when you least expect it, a friend, a sister, or even a stranger will call you and say, "I just found out. I have breast cancer." You will feel your heart break again, but this time, you will know what to say. You'll tell her, "You're not alone. You're stronger than you think." And this isn't the end of your story, because now, you carry something no doctor can prescribe: experience, compassion, and faith. You become a voice of hope in a world that often whispers fear. You become living proof that survival is not just possible, it's powerful. And as you continue your mornings, you begin to see how much power there is in the ordinary. The warmth of a shower, the comfort of breakfast, the softness of clothes against healing skin, all sacred. The things you once took for granted are now small acts of grace. Some nights, you'll still cry. Some mornings you'll still feel afraid. But that's okay. Strength doesn't mean never breaking. It means choosing to rebuild every single time. You learn to pray differently too. Not only asking why me, but whispering thank you. Because even in the pain, you discovered purpose. Even in the fear, you found faith. You start to understand that healing is not about winning a battle. It's about becoming whole again, piece by piece, breath by breath. And when you look back, you realize something extraordinary. The habits that once harmed you have become the lessons that saved you. You wake earlier, you eat with care, you rest with respect, you speak to your body with kindness. You no longer live in automatic mode, you live awake. There's a quiet strength in women who've faced this journey. They know things others don't, how every sunrise feels like a gift, how every heartbeat is a miracle, how love tastes sweeter when you've almost lost it. You are part of that. Sisterhood now, women who have walked through fire and come out shining. So to every woman listening right now, Whether you are fighting, healing, or learning, remember this: your life is not a diagnosis. It's a divine story still being written, and every chapter matters. The mornings you thought were ordinary are sacred. The scars you thought were ugly are holy, and the body you thought was broken is still the home of your spirit, brave, beautiful, unbroken. So tomorrow, when you wake, don't just open your eyes. Open your heart. Breathe in deeply and say these words out loud. I am alive. I am healing. I am loved. Because you are. And as long as you are, there's hope. If this video touched you, leave a comment for those still fighting. Your words might be the reason someone doesn't give up tomorrow. And if you believe that awareness saves lives, share this message, not to spread fear, but to spread strength. Every woman deserves to wake up knowing she matters. And today, that woman is you. After the storm has passed and the wounds have begun to close, something remarkable happens. You begin to see beauty again, but not the kind that fades. It's the kind that lives deep within, born from pain that was survived, from faith that was tested, from mornings that began with tears and ended in strength. You start to realize that healing doesn't mean going back to who you were before the diagnosis. That woman was strong, yes, but this woman, the one standing here now, is unshakable. She has met her limits, stared at fear face to face, and walked through it with trembling hands that never let go of hope. That's not just healing, that's rebirth. You begin to feel an urge inside, a quiet calling. It tells you your story is no longer just yours. There are women out there who need to hear it. Women who are right now sitting in hospital rooms, clutching test results, feeling that same terror you once felt. They need your voice. They need to know it's survivable. They need to see living proof that light still exists on the other side of fear. So you start sharing. Maybe it's a message. Maybe it's a small support group. Maybe it's a smile to a stranger who looks tired. You tell your story not to gain sympathy, but to give courage. And every time you speak it out loud, the pain loses a little more of its power. You no longer cry when you say the word cancer. You breathe. You breathe because you've made peace with it. You find purpose in the little things, cooking with healthier ingredients, walking each morning, talking to God before the day begins. These are not chores anymore. They are conversations with life. You start treating your body not like a battlefield, but like a sacred temple. You eat slowly. You rest when you're tired. You move with gratitude. Every act becomes an offering. And when people ask how you stayed strong, you tell them the truth. I didn't. You broke down. You doubted, you fell apart. But you kept getting back up. And that's what real strength is. You start mentoring younger women. Your daughter, your niece, your friend's friend who just got diagnosed. You teach them what no doctor can. That faith is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to believe anyway. You remind them that courage doesn't roar. Sometimes it whispers, I'll try again tomorrow. You begin to see life differently. You stop rushing through mornings. Stop complaining about small things. You start noticing miracles in everyday moments. The way sunlight filters through the curtains, the laughter of children, the warmth of a simple cup of tea. You realize you've been given a second chance, and this time, you won't waste it. One morning, you look at your reflection again. The woman staring back at you doesn't need approval, doesn't need to hide her scars. She is whole. Not because nothing broke her, but because everything tried to, and failed. You step outside. The air feels new. The sky looks brighter. And in that moment, you whisper something that feels sacred. Thank you. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand. The pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It prepared you to become light for others, to walk with compassion, to live with purpose. And now you live differently. You check on your friends. You remind them to schedule their mammograms. You cook with more color. You laugh louder. You pray longer. You no longer measure your days by what you lost, but by what you've learned. You know now that awareness is not just about prevention. It's about connection. It's about creating a chain of women who remind each other that life is worth protecting. The mornings are no longer routine. They are sacred ceremonies. Each one begins with gratitude, continues with love, and ends with peace. You realize something profound. Cancer didn't end your story. It edited it. It took away some chapters, yes, but it added pages filled with wisdom, empathy, and faith. And if you could speak to the woman you were before it all happened, the one who used to rush through life, ignore her body's whispers, and carry everyone else's weight, you'd tell her, slow down. You're not invincible, and that's okay. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. Take care of yourself now, not when it's too late. You'd tell her that health is not about fear of dying. It's about love for living. As days turn into weeks, your story spreads quietly. A woman messages you to say she went to her doctor because of something you said. Another writes that she changed her habits after hearing your words. One by one, hearts begin to open. You realize that healing multiplied is healing amplified. And one night, as you sit under the soft glow of a lamp, you smile. You understand now why you're still here. Not just to survive, but to serve. To remind others that even in the darkest nights, light never truly leaves. Every breath you take now is sacred. Every heartbeat is a promise. Every morning is another chance to begin again. This is not just your healing, it's your legacy. There comes a moment when you realize that life has quietly given you a second chance. It doesn't come with fireworks or applause. It comes in the stillness of a morning when you open your eyes and simply whisper, "Thank you." You walk to the window, and the world feels softer. The sky is the same, but somehow it looks different. Clearer, deeper, alive. The air tastes new. You feel the weight of everything you've been through, but it no longer hurts. It humbles you. You have walked through the valley of fear and come out carrying light. You understand now that the scars you once tried to hide are proof that miracles exist. You didn't survive by luck. You survived because you refused to give up. Because every time pain knocked you down, faith picked you back up. There's a quiet holiness in surviving something that was meant to break you. You start to see meaning in everything. In the laughter of a child, in the softness of a blanket, in the scent of morning coffee. Every detail feels like grace. The word cancer no longer belongs to the disease. It belongs to the lessons. It taught you that the body is fragile, but the soul is unshakable. It taught you that time is not guaranteed, and love is never wasted. It taught you that healing is not found in hospitals alone. It's found in forgiveness, in gratitude, in the decision to live every single day as if it were a gift. And now, that's exactly what you do. You live, fully, gently, gratefully. You no longer measure your life in years or milestones. You measure it in mornings. Every sunrise is a chance to start over. Every breath is proof that you are still part of something sacred. You walk slower now, not because you're weak, but because you want to feel every step. You love deeper because you understand how easily love can vanish. You laugh louder because silence once felt too heavy. And when you look in the mirror now, you don't see a patient. You see a warrior. Not because you fought perfectly, but because you never stopped showing up. You learned that strength isn't about muscles or smiles. It's about faith that refuses to die, even when the body trembles. Some days will still bring fear. A test result, a shadow on an EI, image, a memory of pain. But now you know fear doesn't define you. Response does. You meet it with calm. You meet it with prayer. You meet it with the wisdom of someone who has already walked through fire and found her way out. You start sharing that peace with others, in words, in actions, in presence. Because healing doesn't stop when you get better. It multiplies when you give it away. You become the friend who listens, the neighbor who checks in, the voice that says, "You're not alone." And in that giving, you heal even more. You begin to understand that your journey was never just about you. It was about the people who would cross your path and find courage through your story. Maybe you were chosen not to suffer, but to awaken. To remind others that even through brokenness, there is beauty. A beauty that no disease can erase. One evening, you sit outside watching the sunset. The colors melt into each other. Pinks, oranges, golds. And for the first time, you realize the sky looks just like you, full of scars and light at the same time. Imperfect, but radiant. You smile. You whisper, "This is what healing looks like." You know that someday your story will end, as all stories do, but not today. Today, you live. Today, you breathe. Today, you love. And when tomorrow comes, you'll do it again. Because healing is not a destination. It's a rhythm. It's the gentle heartbeat of a woman who refuses to stop believing in life. If there's one message you could leave behind for every woman watching, it's this. Do not wait for a diagnosis to start loving yourself. Do not wait for pain to start paying attention. Do not wait for fear to make you believe in faith. Start now. Start today. Start with gratitude for the breath that keeps you alive, for the body that carries you, for the heart that still beats no matter how heavy the days may be. You don't need to be perfect to be whole. You don't need to be fearless to be strong. You just need to begin. And if you ever doubt your worth, remember this moment, this voice, this message, this heartbeat. It's proof that you were never alone. Because somewhere, right now, another woman is listening, praying, and finding strength through your story. That's how healing travels. From heart to heart, from morning to morning, from life to life. So breathe deeply, lift your chin, smile softly. You are the miracle you've been praying for. And as the first light of a new day touches your face, whisper once more, "Thank you." Because today and every day after this one, you are still here. And that, my dear, is everything.